There's a moment that happens to all of us. Maybe it happened to you last week, or maybe it's happening right now as you're listening to this. It's that moment when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, and this overwhelming question crashes into your mind like a wave. What am I doing with my life? I remember when this moment hit me. I was 24, sitting in my car after another day at a job that felt like it was slowly draining my soul. I had everything that society told me I should want: a stable income, a nice apartment, a predictable routine. But as I sat there in that parking lot, watching people rush past my window, I felt more lost than I had ever felt in my entire life. The scariest part wasn't that I didn't know what I wanted to do next. The scariest part was that I didn't even know who I was anymore. If you've ever felt this way, I want you to know something right now. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing at life. You are simply human, standing at the intersection of who you were and who you're becoming. And that intersection can feel like the loneliest place in the world. We live in a time when uncertainty feels like our constant companion. The world is changing faster than ever before. The careers our parents had don't exist anymore. The paths they followed seem to lead nowhere. The advice they gave us feels outdated before we even try to follow it. And in the midst of all this change, all this chaos, all this noise, we're expected to somehow figure out our purpose, or passion, our calling. But here's what I've learned after years of searching, years of making mistakes, and years of getting lost and finding my way again. Uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. And the feeling of being lost isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's often a sign that you're on the verge of finding the right one. Let me tell you about Thomas Edison. Most people know him as the genius who invented the light bulb. But what they don't know is that he failed over 0 times before he got it right. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail so many times, Edison replied, "I haven't failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that don't work." Edison understood something that we often forget. Uncertainty and failure aren't obstacles to success. They're the ingredients of success. Right now, as you're listening to this, you might be thinking, but Edison knew what he wanted to invent. He had a clear goal. I don't even know what I want. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's exactly where you need to be. Because the first step to finding your purpose isn't knowing what you want. It's accepting that you don't know, and that not knowing is not a problem to be solved immediately. It's a space to be explored patiently. Think about it this way. When you're driving at night, your headlights don't illuminate the entire journey. They only show you the next 200 feet, but that's enough. You don't need to see the whole road to start driving. You just need to see the next step. And that's exactly how purpose works. You don't need to see your entire life's calling to take the next meaningful step. You just need to see what's right in front of you. The discomfort you feel when you don't know what's next, that's not a bug in the system. That's a feature. It's your soul telling you that you're ready for something more, something different, something that aligns with who you're becoming rather than who you used to be. Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid this discomfort, but the people who change the world, the people who find deep fulfillment, the people who make a difference, they learn to dance with uncertainty instead of fighting it. I want you to imagine uncertainty, not as a storm you have to weather, but as an ocean you get to explore. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it's unpredictable, but it's also full of possibilities that you haven't even dreamed of yet. When you're lost in the ocean of uncertainty, you're not drowning, you're swimming towards shores you never knew existed. Abraham Lincoln understood this. He lost his job at 23, was defeated for the legislature at 26, failed in business at 31. was defeated for Congress at 34. They was defeated for Congress again at 36, was defeated for Senate at 45, was defeated for Vice President at 47, was defeated for Senate again at 49, and then became President of the United States at 51. Lincoln's life was a masterclass in navigating uncertainty, and he knew that every defeat was simply redirecting him toward his true calling. But here's what Lincoln also knew, and what I want you to understand: you can't navigate uncertainty without first understanding who you are. Not who you think you should be, not who your parents want you to be, not who society expects you to be, who you actually are, beneath all the expectations and obligations and shoulds. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not happy, not content, not satisfied, but truly alive. Like every cell in your body was vibrating with energy and possibility. Maybe it was when you were having a deep conversation with a friend. Maybe it was when you were creating something with your hands. Maybe it was when you were helping someone who needed it. Maybe it was when you were learning something new that fascinated you. That feeling, that aliveness, that's your compass. That's your internal GPS pointing you toward your purpose. But here's the thing about compasses. They don't work when you're standing still. You have to be moving. You have to be exploring. You have to be taking action. Even when you don't know exactly where you're going, think about Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no good ideas. He went bankrupt multiple times. His first animation company failed, but Disney understood something crucial. He didn't need to have all the answers to start creating. He just needed to follow what made him feel alive, one step at a time. And that aliveness, that passion, that willingness to keep creating even when he didn't know what the outcome would be, that's what led him to build an empire that still brings joy to millions of people today. Your purpose isn't something you find like a treasure buried in the ground. Your purpose is something you create, one choice at a time, one day at a time, one moment of aliveness at a time. And the beautiful thing about creating your purpose is that you don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need a degree. You don't need a title. You don't need a plan. You just need to pay attention to what makes you feel alive and give yourself permission to follow it. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that sounds great in theory, but I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I have people counting on me. I can't just follow my passion and hope everything works out. And you're right. I'm not suggesting you quit your job tomorrow and become a street artist. I'm suggesting something much more radical. I'm suggesting you start paying attention to your values. Your values are like the roots of a tree. You can't see them, but they're what keep you grounded when the storms of life try to knock you over. And here's what's beautiful about roots. They don't care what the tree looks like above ground. They just care about staying connected to what nourishes them. Your values are what nourish your soul. And when you make decisions based on your values, you're always moving in the direction of your purpose. Even if you can't see it yet, maybe one of your core values is creativity, and you're stuck in a job that doesn't allow you to express that creativity. You don't have to quit your job to honor that value. You could start a creative project on the weekends. You could volunteer to help with the marketing at your current job. You could take a class in something that interests you. Small actions aligned with your values create momentum, and momentum is what transforms uncertainty from something that paralyzes you into something that propels you forward. Henry Ford understood this. He worked as an engineer for years while tinkering with cars in his garage. He didn't quit his job to chase his passion. He let his passion grow alongside his responsibilities until it became strong enough to support him. Ford knew that purpose isn't about making dramatic leaps. It's about making consistent steps in the direction of what matters to you. I want you to think about your relationships for a moment. When you're around certain people, Do you feel energized or drained? Do you feel inspired or deflated? Do you feel like you can be yourself or like you have to pretend to be someone else? The people in your life are either lifting you up or pulling you down. And when you're navigating uncertainty, you need all the lift you can get. Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." But before you can be that change, you have to surround yourself with people who believe in change, who support your growth, who celebrate your journey even when they don't understand your destination. Purpose isn't a solo journey, it's a community effort. And the community you choose will either make your path easier or make it harder. I want to tell you about a young woman I met last year. She was 28, working as an accountant, and she felt completely lost. She had followed all the rules, done everything she was supposed to do, and yet she felt empty inside. She came to one of my workshops and said, "I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what my purpose is. I feel like everyone else has it figured out and I'm just pretending to be an adult." I asked her one simple question. When you were a child, what did you do when no one was watching? She thought for a moment and then said, "I used to write stories. I would make up these elaborate worlds and characters, and I would get so lost in them that my mom would have to call me 3 times for dinner." I asked her, "When was the last time you wrote a story?" She said, "I don't remember." That's what happens to so many of us. We get so focused on becoming who we think we should be that we forget who we actually are. We abandon the things that made us feel alive as children because we're told they're not practical. They're not realistic. They're not going to pay the bills. But what if I told you that the things that made you feel alive as a child are breadcrumbs leading you back to your purpose? This young woman started writing again, not because she wanted to become a famous author, but because writing made her feel alive. She wrote for 30 minutes every morning before work. She joined a writing group. She started sharing her stories with friends, and slowly, something beautiful happened. She began to see patterns in her stories, themes of resilience, of overcoming obstacles, of finding hope in dark places. She realized that her gift wasn't just writing, it was helping people see possibility where they once saw only problems. Today, she's a corporate trainer who helps companies navigate change and uncertainty. She still does accounting work, but now it's just one part of who she is, not her entire identity. She found her purpose not by abandoning her responsibilities, but by reconnecting with what made her feel alive and finding ways to integrate that aliveness into her daily life. Your purpose isn't always going to look like what you imagined it would look like. Sometimes it's bigger than you dreamed. Sometimes it's different than you expected. Sometimes it's simpler than you thought it had to be. But it's always connected to what makes you feel most alive. Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men in history, spent the first half of his life building his fortune and the second half giving it away. He understood that purpose isn't just about what you do, it's about why you do it and who you do it for. Carnegie knew that the money was never the point. The point was what the money could do for other people. His purpose wasn't making steel. His purpose was making a difference. Maybe your purpose is raising children who will change the world. Maybe your purpose is creating art that helps people feel less alone. Maybe your purpose is building businesses that solve problems. Maybe your purpose is teaching people skills that will improve their lives. Maybe your purpose is simply being a friend who listens when someone needs to be heard. There's no hierarchy of purpose. There's no small purpose or big purpose. There's only your purpose, the unique way that you're meant to contribute to the world. And the world needs your contribution. Even if you don't know what it is yet, I want you to try something with me right now. Close your eyes if you're somewhere safe to do so. Take a deep breath. Now imagine yourself at 80 years old, sitting on your porch, looking back at your life. What do you want to remember? What do you want to be proud of? What do you want to know that you contributed to the world? Don't think about careers or job titles or salaries. Think about impact. Think about the lives you touched, the problems you solved, the love you shared, the difference you made. That feeling you're having right now, that sense of what really matters, that's your purpose calling to you. It's been there all along, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." But I want to expand on that. The only thing we have to fear is the fear of not being enough, of not having enough time, of not knowing enough, of not being ready enough. Because here's the truth, you are enough. Exactly as you are right now. You have enough time, exactly the amount you've been given. You know enough to take the next step, even if you don't know enough to see the whole staircase, and you're ready enough to begin. Even if you don't feel ready to finish, purpose isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up day after day and doing the work that matters to you, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't see immediate results, even when other people don't understand why it matters to you. Think about every great movement in history, every breakthrough in science, every work of art that moved people to tears, every business that changed the way we live. They all started with someone who didn't have all the answers but decided to begin anyway. They all started with someone who was willing to take the next step even when they couldn't see the destination. Marie Curie didn't know she would become the first woman to win a Nobel Prize when she started studying radioactivity. She just knew she was curious about something that others weren't paying attention to. Steve Jobs didn't know he would revolutionize the technology industry when he started Apple in his garage. He just knew he wanted to create something beautiful and functional. Oprah Winfrey didn't know she would become one of the most influential media personalities in history when she started her local talk show. She just knew she loved connecting with people and hearing their stories. All of these people had one thing in common. They were willing to start before they were ready. They were willing to take action in the face of uncertainty. They were willing to trust that the path would become clearer as they walked it. And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to start before you're ready. You need to take action in the face of uncertainty. You need to trust that the path will become clearer as you walk it. But starting doesn't mean making huge, dramatic changes. Starting means making small, consistent choices that align with your values and move you in the direction of what makes you feel alive. Starting means saying yes to opportunities that scare you a little bit. Starting means saying no to things that drain your energy so you have more energy for the things that fill you up. Starting means paying attention to the patterns in your life. What problems do you naturally notice? What solutions do you naturally think of? What do people come to you for help with? What compliments do you receive that you brush off as just being nice, but that keep coming up over and over? Again, I know a man who always seemed to be the one his friends called when they were going through difficult times. He never thought much of it. He just thought he was being a good friend. But over time, he noticed that he had a gift for helping people see their situations more clearly, for asking the right questions, for providing comfort without trying to fix everything. Today, he's a counselor who helps people navigate life transitions. His purpose found him through his natural way of being in the world. Your purpose might be hiding in plain sight. It might be in the way you naturally interact with people, the problems you can't help but notice, the solutions that seem obvious to you but revolutionary to others. It might be in the activities you lose track of time doing, the conversations that energize you, the projects you can't wait to get back to. But here's the thing about recognizing your purpose. It requires you to slow down. In a world that's constantly demanding your attention, constantly telling you to do more, be more, achieve more, finding your purpose requires you to step off the hamster wheel long enough to remember who you are when you're not performing for anyone else. This is why so many people feel lost. They're moving so fast, They're so busy responding to other people's expectations and demands that they never give themselves space to listen to their own inner voice. They never give themselves permission to explore what actually matters to them. But you can change that. You can start creating space in your life for exploration, for reflection, for paying attention to what lights you up and what shuts you down. You can start treating your own dreams and interests and curiosities as valid and important. Even if they don't immediately translate into career opportunities, Leonardo da Vinci was curious about everything: art, science, engineering, anatomy, music, literature. People thought he was scattered, unfocused, unable to commit to one thing, but Da Vinci understood that his curiosity itself was his gift. He didn't need to choose between his interests. He needed to find ways to integrate them. And that integration led to innovations that were centuries ahead of their time. Maybe you're like Da Vinci. Maybe you have multiple interests, and you've been told you need to pick one. Maybe you've been told you need to specialize, to focus, to choose a lane and stay in it. But what if your purpose is in the connections between your different interests? What if your unique contribution to the world is in the way you see patterns that others miss because they're only looking at one piece of the puzzle? The world needs people who can see the big picture. The world needs people who can connect dots that seem unrelated. The world needs people who can bring different perspectives together to solve complex problems. Maybe that's you. Maybe your uncertainty about what you want to do isn't a weakness. Maybe it's a strength, or maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you've always known what you wanted to do, but life has taken you in a different direction. Maybe you're a teacher who ended up in corporate America, an artist who became an accountant, a writer who became a lawyer. Maybe you feel like you've betrayed your younger self, like you've settled for security over passion. If that's you, I want you to know that it's never too late to course correct. It's never too late to integrate your true calling into your current life. It's never too late to start taking small steps toward what you really want to do. Colonel Sanders was 62 when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House book until she was 64. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78. Age is not a barrier to purpose. Experience is not a barrier to purpose. Responsibilities are not a barrier to purpose. The only barrier to purpose is the belief that you don't deserve to pursue what makes you feel alive. But you do deserve it. Not because you're special, but because you're human, and every human being has something unique to contribute to the world. Every human being has a combination of experiences, perspectives, talents, and interests that no one else has. Every human being has a purpose that only they can fulfill. The question isn't whether you have a purpose. The question is whether you're willing to do the work to discover it and then do the work to live it. And yes, it is work. Finding your purpose isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a journey you choose to take. Again and again, day after day. It's choosing to pay attention to what matters to you. It's choosing to take small actions that align with your values. It's choosing to surround yourself with people who support your growth. It's choosing to see uncertainty as an opportunity rather than a threat. Some days, this work will feel easy. You'll feel inspired, motivated, clear about what you want to do next. Other days, this work will feel hard. You'll feel confused, overwhelmed, tempted to give up and just accept that this is as good as it gets. Both of these experiences are normal. Both of these experiences are part of the journey. The people who find their purpose and live it aren't the people who never feel confused or uncertain. They're the people who feel confused and uncertain and keep going anyway. They're the people who understand that purpose isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to live the questions. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer." This is the secret to navigating uncertainty. You don't need to have the answers. You just need to be willing to live with the questions, to explore them, to let them guide you toward experiences and insights and connections that you couldn't have planned or predicted. Right now, you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but where do I actually start? What do I do on Monday morning? And that's a fair question. Purpose without action is just a nice idea, but action without purpose is just busy work. So let me give you some practical steps you can take right now. Today, to start moving in the direction of your purpose, first, start paying attention to your energy. For the next week, keep a simple journal. At the end of each day, write down 3 things that gave you energy and 3 things that drained your energy. Don't overthink it. Just notice. After a week, look for patterns. The things that consistently give you energy are clues to your purpose. The things that consistently drain your energy are obstacles to your purpose. Second, start small. Choose one thing that you're curious about. One thing that you've always wanted to try. One thing that you think might be interesting, and commit to exploring it for 15 minutes a day for the next month. Read about it. Watch videos about it. Talk to people who do it. Try it yourself in small ways. The goal isn't to become an expert or to make a career change. The goal is to reawaken your sense of curiosity and exploration. Third, start connecting. Reach out to one person whose work or life you admire and ask them about their journey. Most people are happy to share their experiences, especially if you're genuinely curious and respectful of their time. Don't ask them to solve your problems or give you the answers. Just ask them to share their story. You'll be amazed at what you can learn from someone else's path. Fourth, start contributing. Find one way to help someone else this week. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Offer to help a friend with a project. Share your skills or knowledge with someone who could benefit from them. Purpose isn't just about what you get from life, it's about what you give to life. And when you start giving, you start to see your own value more clearly. Fifth, start dreaming again. Set aside some time this week to remember what you used to dream about. What did you want to be when you grew up? What adventures did you imagine yourself having? What problems did you want to solve? What impact did you want to make? Your childhood dreams might seem naive now, but they contain seeds of your authentic self that are worth exploring. These 5 steps won't solve your uncertainty overnight. They won't magically reveal your life's purpose, but they will start you moving in the right direction. They will start you paying attention to what matters to you. They will start you taking action instead of just thinking about taking action. And that's how purpose works. It's not a lightning bolt moment where everything suddenly becomes clear. It's a series of small moments, small choices, small actions that gradually create clarity. It's like watching the sun rise. You don't see it moving, but if you keep watching, you suddenly realize that what was dark is now light. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," but I want to add something to that. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but it continues with 1,000 more steps. And each step teaches you something about where you want to go next. Your purpose isn't waiting for you at the end of the journey. Your purpose is the journey itself. It's the willingness to keep walking even when you can't see the destination. It's the courage to take the next step even when you don't know where it will lead. It's the faith that the path will reveal itself as you walk it. And here's what I want you to remember. As you walk this path, you're not walking it alone. Every person who has ever lived has wrestled with questions of meaning and purpose. Every person who has ever accomplished anything meaningful has done it in the face of uncertainty. Every person who has ever made a difference has started exactly where you are right now, not knowing what the future holds, but willing to take the next step anyway. You are part of a long tradition of seekers, dreamers, builders, and changemakers. You are part of a community of people who refuse to settle for lives that don't match their values. You are part of a movement of people who believe that work can be meaningful, that lives can be purposeful, that uncertainty can be transformed into possibility, and the world needs you to find your purpose. Not because you're going to be the next Gandhi or Edison or Curie, but because you're going to be the first you're going to solve problems that only you can solve. You're going to help people that only you can help. You're going to create things that only you can create. You're going to make a difference that only you can make. The uncertainty you're feeling right now isn't a sign that you're lost. It's a sign that you're ready to be found. It's a sign that you're ready to stop living other people's definitions of success and start creating your own. It's a sign that you're ready to stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, who am I becoming? Because ultimately, that's what purpose is about. It's not about what you do, it's about who you become in the process of doing it. It's about the person you develop into as you face your fears. Pursue your dreams. Serve others. And stay true to your values. It's about the character you build, the relationships you form, the impact you have, and the legacy you leave. You might find your purpose in raising a family, building a business, creating art, serving your community, teaching children, healing the sick, protecting the environment, fighting for justice, or any of 1,000 other ways. What matters isn't the specific form your purpose takes. What matters is that you give yourself permission to discover it and the courage to pursue it. The clock is ticking, but not in the way you think. You're not running out of time to figure out your life. You're running out of time to let fear make decisions for you. You're running out of time to postpone the work of becoming who you're meant to be. You're running out of time to let uncertainty paralyze you instead of inspire you. Today is the day you start, not next week, not next month, not when you have more money or more time or more certainty. Today, right now, with whatever you have, wherever you are, however you feel, the perfect moment to start pursuing your purpose is the moment you decide to start pursuing your purpose. And if you're still not sure what that purpose is, that's okay. Start with what you know. Start with what you value. Start with what you're curious about. Start with what you're good at. Start with what the world needs. Start with what makes you feel alive. Start with what you can't stop thinking about. Start with what you can't not do. Start with one small step, and then take another one, and another one, and another one, and trust that each step is teaching you something, leading you somewhere, connecting you to something larger than yourself. Your purpose is not a destination to reach. It's a path to walk. It's not a problem to solve. It's a life to live. It's not a question to answer. It's a story to write, and your story is just beginning. No matter how old you are, no matter what you've done or haven't done, no matter how lost you feel right now, your story is just beginning. The best chapters are still ahead of you. The most meaningful work is still waiting for you. The deepest impact is still within your reach. So close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel your heart beating in your chest. That heartbeat is proof that you're alive, that you're here, that you matter, that you have something to contribute, that your story is still being written. Now open your eyes, look around you. This is your world. These are your people. This is your time. This is your chance. This is your moment to stop waiting for permission and start creating the life you actually want to live. The uncertainty isn't going anywhere. It's part of the human experience, but you don't have to let it stop you. You can learn to dance with it, to see it as a friend rather than an enemy, to use it as fuel for your journey rather than an excuse to stay stuck. Your purpose is calling to you, It's been calling to you your whole life. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it shouts, sometimes it sings, sometimes it's silent, but it's always there, waiting for you to listen, waiting for you to respond, waiting for you to say yes. Say yes to the uncertainty. Say yes to the journey. Say yes to the possibility that your life can be more meaningful than you ever imagined. Say yes to the idea that you have something unique and valuable to offer the world. Say yes to the belief that your purpose is not just possible but inevitable if you're willing to do the work to discover it and live it. And if you found value in this message, if something I said resonated with you, if you feel even a tiny bit more hopeful about your future than you did 25 minutes ago, then I have a small favor to ask. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future messages like this one. Leave a comment telling me about one small step you're going to take this week toward discovering your purpose. Because here's the thing about purpose, it's contagious. When you start living yours, you give other people permission to start living theirs. When you start taking your dreams seriously, you inspire others to take their dreams seriously. When you start believing that your life can be meaningful, you help create a world where everyone's life can be meaningful. That's how change happens. Not through grand gestures or perfect plans, but through ordinary people making extraordinary choices to pursue what matters to them. Through people like you deciding that uncertainty is not a prison, but a doorway. Through people like you choosing to see possibility where others see only problems, you are more powerful than you know. You are more capable than you believe. You are more needed than you realize. Your purpose is not a luxury you can't afford. It's a necessity the world can't afford to lose. So go. Start. Begin. Take that first step, and then take another one, and trust that each step is leading you exactly where you need to go. Your purpose is waiting for you, and the world is waiting for your purpose. The time is now. The person is you. The path is forward. Let's go.